the same page on that. I don't.
Yeah.
I get back, I can finish every box. Harold mentioned, don't ask me to say. No. I had a line really very well. Yeah, mine's was up. Three of Kevin, that'd be mad at me, I could deal with one of them.
Right.
You know, I don't, you know, especially as.
Like to call the finance committee of the whole to order. Join me in the pledge if you would.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Here.
Commissioner Sweeney,
Here.
Commissioner Weber,
Here.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Marino,
Here.
Commissioner Hope,
Here.
all present, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Up next will be approval of the agenda. We'll start with general public comments on agenda items only. We have no presentations or special reports, no appointments to boards and commissions. Under Finance Committee of the whole, we have several business items, 16 of them in fact.
Wow.
And then we have no intergovernmental affairs, no administrator controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. We'll have general public comment, open to any topic people wish to speak on, and then announcements and adjournment. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So move, Marino.
Support Jelezinski.
Moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And we have an agenda, and next up is general public comments on agenda items only. Okay, seeing no one for general public comment, we will move right into committee reports. And item 1, Commissioner Jelezinski, would you take that for us, please?
Yes. Consider ratifying and placing on file the February 27, 2026 invoice list in the amount of $287,098.09. The March 6, 2026 invoice list in the amount of $4,479,383.10. In the adjustment list dated February 28, 2026.
Support,
February 26, I think I said,
or
should have said.
again, we're not supporting.
You can if you want.
I
Always how my 2 years.
Allow you.
I support it more.
You want to run this?
Yes, please. So for the February 26th, 2026 invoice list that was sent out to the Board of Commissioners previous to this. On the first page, you'll see all the invoices that are $5,000 more. And out of the total amount of the $287,098.09, the general fund portion of that was $27,932.45. Portions of this one was in Trado Life and Safety for $22,807.53 for the annual maintenance for the 911 phone system through Central Dispatch. We have multiple Great Lakes Bay, Michigan Works payments to various contracts. We have manpower for the weekly contracted labor for the MERV for $6,158.88. And then we also have a sheriff's sale and 3 trial court juvenile housing payments to Saginaw County Sheriff's Department.
Those 3 payments to Saginaw County, were those for last year? They just got around to billing us for it.
Would be the Saginaw County's portion, because the years, our year and their year kind of slapped over, so they have to pay any payables, or receivables that were due to Saginaw County for the prior fiscal year. They have to go to them, so that's.
Okay, the next one we have is the March sixth, 2026 invoice list. This has the total amount of $4,479,383.10. The general fund portion is $174,487.59. Some of the ones on this is the MRP properties for the monthly rent at 510 and 614 West Pickard in the amount of $17,604.20. We have hats on here for $6,730.77 for the bi-weekly animal control contract. And then advanced benefit solutions for various prescriptions and dental and vision insurance. Clark Schaefer Hackett and Company, $26,375 for portion of the audit services for fiscal year 25. And then we also have the large one, there's the fifth disbursement for taxes, with the biggest one going to the Gratiot Isabella Intermediate Schools in the amount of $3,557,572.16. Sorry.
Questions on that one?
And the next one is the adjustments list. This is one that's added for invoices that were changed to reduce the correct entry errors, or ones that were put on to avoid late fees or to get early discounts. There were a few entry errors that were corrected on the sheet, as you'll see. And then, but you also have the Charter Communications, Consumers Energy, and Gordon Food Service, which are put on to avoid late fees, as we usually see.
Okay, any questions on that? All right, very good. We'll move that to next week's meeting, and item 2, Commissioner Sweeney.
Consider approving the proposal for reimbursement for Shea property dog intake as presented.
Okay, we do have Sarah Henry online.
Yes, I am available. Sorry, my camera's not on this morning. I'm having some technical difficulties.
That's okay.
So we did submit a formal letter and then a tracking spreadsheet of expenses. So HATS is asking the county commissioners to consider reimbursing some of the significant costs that we incurred with this large scale dog intake. So the intake was between January 8th and the 13th. Animal control seized over 22 dogs from one property that were brought to HATS. As the municipal shelter, it did, create an unanticipated kind of financial and operational burden for us. Right now, we're still caring for 20 of those dogs. So over 30% of the dogs under our care right now are from this Shea Dog intake. The services that we have provided on the expense spreadsheet are the medical services. So that included basic intake vetting, spay and neuter services, microchipping and a heartworm test. We did include the daily boarding fee, which the county assigns at $10 per day, typically if we're boarding an animal. Any special vet care, because we did have some with some special needs, medical issues. And then we did put an estimated labor cost in there as well for the additional staff hours. And HATS the board really wanted us, felt it was important to address kind of the history of the case. A reminder that this is not the first time the specific community member had more than 20 dogs removed from his property. We do feel that if there had been a little more rigorous preventative measures, potentially on the animal control side, we could have mitigated it before reaching this extreme level. And that in this situation, he was just evicted from the property. So as far as we're aware, there wouldn't be any restitution or charges or anything against the property owner. So just a quick note on the expense spreadsheet, the total there, this would have gone up until the day I sent this, so March 3rd. So this doesn't include any daily boarding fees or labor costs since then. But the total on the presentation was $34,923.26. That is a full portion. If you remove the labor cost and just look at the basic medical fees and boarding care for the animals, as of March 3rd would have been $17,497.86.
Okay, any questions? Yes, sir.
I have two questions. The first one is, since this is a repeat offender,
Mhm.
legal proceedings been taken against that individual and can we recover these costs from that person?
Sheriff, would you be able to answer some of those?
This particular case, the original case that we had, did go to court a few years back. He was acquitted. So there was no criminal charges, processed through there. This was through an eviction. The animals were scattered throughout the woods. We had no idea. There was 20 dogs there, so there was no way to know how many dogs he had. We hadn't had any complaints or anything. We don't have a criminal case on him at this point in time. Although, he's over the limit of dogs, you could certainly apply that to him. This was a pretty contentious eviction that went on for several weeks with some concerns. So as far as him having any restitution funds, I would say that's probably no. He's actually living in, I believe, in a garage in a friend's house around the corner. So we certainly could apply it, but I don't think you're going to see any funds or financial revenue come from any of that source. So honestly, with the way the eviction went and how things ended up, I would probably err to the point of not going back and pushing that issue any farther.
Okay. The second question I have is, there's 20 dogs and they've been in care of Hats for 2 months already. I don't know how many have been adopted, but if Hats keeps these dogs for another 6 months, are we going to have another bill given to us in the future because it's a no-kill facility? We can't keep spending taxpayer dollars on things. We have higher priorities.
I agree. I don't think the board has discussed that as a whole yet. Typically our average length of stay for animals is under that 90 to 100 days right now. There are a few outliers, obviously, for long-term residents. I think our just biggest concern at this point is possibly recovering some of these initial major costs with the surgeries, medical costs and stuff. At this point, spaying and neutered that's been complete for every single animal. So we wouldn't see any additional medical costs or things incur on them. So I think our biggest concern right now is just the heavy weight of this on our financial operations with these initial medical costs and things.
Okay. Only 2 of the dogs have been adopted to date, correct?
Since I sent this, we did have 2 more adopted. So it is happening. We are expecting, none of them have behaviors that we would consider making them unadoptable. Because we do assess for that and do behavioral analysis on all of them. Despite being a no kill shelter, that doesn't mean euthanasia doesn't happen. We just make sure it's happening humanely. If there are behavior concerns, these dogs currently do not have them. So we do still expect all of them to be adopted within that average length of stay of, 90 to 120 days.
Okay. Commissioner Swaney, did you have a
No,
question?
answer's been,
Okay,
our question's been answered.
Okay.
So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm working off from the sheet that we got here, which is 32,000. I think she said 34, so. I was looking at this and trying to, the expenses that we have, but the labor was 15,000 and take that off at 16,357. As far as the actual expenses in there. And then I don't know, want to discuss the $10 fee for sporting, how's that affect? My suggestion is that we look at the actual expenses, pulling out the labor. Yes, sir.
if you're suggesting that, I would like to see or hear a detailed labor, because I mean, to dismiss labor fees is, we all know that business is not run on product alone or just a shot, that is not just a shot. So I mean, fees for nurses and doctors or vets I think are justifiable. And
No, there.
we're partners with the shelter, and it sounds like the director is asking for, you know, where
We did
our
cut,
responsibility for this county has put them in a role as a partner, and we shouldn't dismiss costs for labor just because it's people.
2 years ago, I think we did cut their,
We did, there,
2 years ago, I think it was.
yeah, 2 years ago there,
Cut
we did
quite
cut
a
it,
substantial, I'm
but,
just trying to figure.
And
yeah,
I can provide a little bit of explanation. That daily boarding fee you see, the $10 per day, that's really just dog food. And then in the labor cost, we based it off of minimum wage, with every animal receiving just 1 hour of care per day from the kennel attendants.
And those folks are regular employees, Sarah, not?
They
not-
are, yes. Yep, our full-time kennel attendants in the canine department. So we kept it at just 1 hour care a day for each of the animals.
But has this intake created a situation where people had to work more hours, or there was additional cost beyond what would be normal?
Yeah, so despite having to take in these 22 animals, we can't say no to dogs from the county. These dogs are making up 30% of our kennel capacity. If those, even currently they are still, if those dogs were gone, I would have 2 less canine staff there a day.
Okay. Another question?
I'm just, like I said, I was kind of going where you were going with that,
Hear
and
you
how much
thinking.
overtime. You could hear, that's scary. Usually you just hear rattling and right up there, but, okay, yeah, that's kind of where my question was, is how much was, you had to actually had staff there and how much you had to have extra staff there to fill in for these extra gaps, because
mhm,
I know for what the hats do, the contributions they give, the donations they raise for
mhm.
this, it's just one of those extraordinary.
Yep. So Sarah, this same person has surrendered numerous dogs in the past, or a similar situation as this where a bunch of animals were taken at once?
Yeah, so it was somewhere between 2 and 3 years ago. I think the total was over 25 animals, and at that time, they did attempt a court case and he was acquitted, but for neglect of the animals, so they were seized and not returned to him. And in this instance, he was evicted from the property, so the animals had to go.
Okay. Well, at some point, we probably should have a conversation about how to try to mitigate these situations, keep them from happening and reoccurring.
Now, was that like a puppy mill type situation, or somebody just collected dogs where, because they like them? I mean, that is a difference between it, they're actually a business or actually.
So he's, he had
He
abandoned,
was,
oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say from what we know of him, he was definitely selling the puppies, creating his own breed, trying to advertising them as like livestock guardians, farm, pest solution for farms, that kind of thing, because they're all shepherd, Dane, different types of mixes like that. So from what we were aware of and what was on his social media, he was definitely breeding the dogs, selling the puppies, and then utilizing them, like offering services for pest control and livestock guardian services on farms.
He's unemployed, so he was using it for revenue to make money. He had abandoned all the structures on the property. It was 30, 40 acres there. The dogs were scattered throughout the woods, tied to trees and different things, and living in the old structures. He actually was on in a tent at the roadway, because again, it was a contentious eviction that myself, the undersheriff, and Deputy Kenny, and along with animal control and our eviction crew, we kind of had to formulate a plan for safety and security. It was that level of concern, but yeah, he does it to raise and generate revenue. It's the only thing he really knows how to do, I guess. But whether he'll turn around and do it again would be the next thing. And again, if we don't get complaints, we don't we knew there was dogs there when the eviction thing started to spin up about 45 days prior to us actually putting boots on the ground, but we may do it again, but until you get complaints, there's limited things we can get on property to search for, probable
Yeah.
cause, reasonable suspicions, those kind of things, people can have dogs. And then when you only see 3 or 4 dogs from the road, he's fine. But then when you go out in the woods and find 15 more, that's a problem. So I can't say, I mean, we certainly keep an eye on him, and I would probably guess he'll probably go right back to it at some point. So
I'm surprised there were no complaints with that many dogs on a.
pretty rural area, nobody really around, no houses around,
So any of us, a couple of us that run businesses and we're very heavily regulated, isn't there regulations on?
There's kennel laws. Yeah, we have a certain amount of dogs, you gotta have a kennel license is
Right.
about really what it is. That's kind of through the state, not necessarily through us. It's, yeah, so there is some kennel laws, but again, those are civil and barely misdemeanor cases. And the last time we took it in front of the court, he was acquitted by a jury, so.
Do they have inspectors that actually go out and do this?
I highly doubt it.
I doubt it, yeah, I know.
Highly doubt it.
Okay.
So.
They have inspectors through the Michigan Department of Agricultural and Rural Development, but typically those inspectors only go out if there's a complaint for an already licensed kennel. I don't know if they will go out and investigate a non-registered. They might. My experience is that they would go out, like if, say, Hat's got a complaint or another county got a complaint, we're licensed kennels. So they would come out and investigate, but I don't know if they do that for like unknown or unlicensed kennels.
I would agree with that.
What local ordinances do we have that might apply as far as like having too many animals? Having a business that is unlicensed?
So business is a different division.
Yeah,
But we run under the 1918 dog law, which says you gotta have your dogs tagged. That's about it.
okay.
So pretty, we respond to dog bites and we, all those kind of things and take those reports and assure shots and things like that, but yeah, there's not a lot that exists out there to regulate that. So now if there's running a business and there's not a business license, again, that's a different division,
Right.
but
How much can you recover these days under a small claims suit? And can the county do that?
I think small claims is.
7, I believe, 7 or 8, yeah.
2,500, I think max is for small claims, but I think I'm trying to remember what it says in the window of the court. I've read there, but is it 5,000 maybe? Yeah,
So,
but again, there's no, I mean, I think we're gonna spend money to not get money. Cause this gentleman has absolutely nothing, so. In fact, he walked away with a few clothes from the tent after the eviction, so.
He may not recover anything, but if he's being unpunished in any way possible, he's gonna go do it again.
Maybe a prosecutor question or something to discuss with, we can certainly bring that up, but.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Do you want us
Again,
for the regular meeting next week? Do you want to kind of come up with a dollar amount on what the county would consider, or leave it open until next week for more information, or what is the board so? And we can make sure that we have the motion properly written for next Tuesday's regular meeting. Which is just a recommendation.
Yeah. I would be in favor of some kind of compromise deal, but I don't know exactly what would be fair at this point. Did you guys have thoughts on
I
it?
view it more as we see ups and downs when we're housing childcare, we can't really, plan on that as well. I mean, we have a yearly contract with that, but we still have large payments that go out when there is, an incident or whatever where it happens. So what I'm saying is we're looking at a spike incident and we need to make sure that our partnership with ATS is healthy. We lowered their yearly by 50,000. 25, 30.
I thought we brought it
That,
back
that
up.
would replenish back through. ARPA
Was it
funds.
replenished the,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay, so,
And then in 26, they were made whole
so,
Yes.
Yes.
so they're back to this, but.
to their
But they're,
contractual amount.
yeah, to their contractual
Yeah.
amount, right? So still, they're not increasing their wages on us or things. 1 hour and this being a one-time that we're looking at. I mean, not. They're going to do a one-time billing. My suggestion is to make them whole, to keep them healthy.
Yeah. I agree with Steve, and also, after this is all over, like we kind of mentioned, see what options we can have to, stop this from reoccurring as much as we can. But I agree with Steve, what he just said.
I know I am planning on talking with the Department of Agriculture, but there's a couple of guys I talked to there, but I'm not sure if there's something the county do for more prevention for having this. First problem you could make.
Yes.
Many.
Wait,
Oh.
oh, she's. Oh, I gotta let her back in. She left and then, thank you for.
Problem with
I don't know
regulations.
if we can
She's not bad enough. Thanks.
tighten ordinances. And make it easier to have action on individuals. Or doing unauthorized puppy mills.
Mr. Johnson.
I guess I wouldn't mind seeing a breakdown of this budget instead of just having the 30-some thousand. I'd like to have it broken down. In
There
categories.
is one in there that's
There is one.
Yeah.
got it broken down
pretty-
really good.
I don't see it.
different.
This is.
I do have a quick question for you since you're back online.
It's no, it's on this one here.
Oh, that's a
Is this a
different one.
one-time
Here then.
request, or if the dogs are not, adopted out in, let's say, another 8 weeks to 12 weeks, are we gonna receive additional request for funding?
My understanding with the board is this is a one-time request because of the extraordinary initial fees when it comes to spaying and neutering. These dogs have never had a single vaccine. Those kinds of things that doing that for 22 dogs at once was a very high cost for us. So the regular care after this would just be part of what HATS does in taking care of the county animals until they're adopted.
Okay. How long do you typically keep an animal? I mean, just average.
I would say average length of stay is about 90 to 120 days, depending on the breed. But if there are behavioral concerns, like severe behavioral concerns, we've done quality of life and behavior assessments and/or major medical issues that is outside of the scope of HATS in our health clinic, we make those decisions much sooner. We don't say, we wouldn't keep a dog there for 6 months if we know it's not adoptable and has a bite history or behavioral concerns. We try and make those decisions as soon as possible. For our adoptable dogs, we do have some outliers that are dynamite, great adoptable dogs that get overlooked, that may stay there longer than 120 days. But it's typically, we're looking then at pathways for foster placement, potential transfers to other rescues. Again, as long as there's no major medical or behavioral concerns.
Thank you.
So these
Yep.
are all adoptable dogs. You've got
Yes.
18 of them still.
Yes.
All right.
And I think 2 were just adopted this last week. So we are having more adoptions. At this point, we have only had to do 1 euthanasia out of the full intake due to a major medical issue that was outside of HAT scope.
Mhm. Okay.
What is the fee for adoption?
Right now, as long as there's no, we do offer a lot of specials, but normal adoption fees for an animal is $225 for a dog, and that includes that microchip, heartworm. All the spay and neutering is already complete.
So if we help, with your request, is there any way that we could do a reduced adoption fee on these particular animals to help, facilitate, the adoption process quicker?
Absolutely. Yep. They have been part of one already. And then we have another upcoming one the week of St. Patrick's Day, reduced to 150, but we could definitely consider more if that was the goal for, continue to try and speed up the adoption. They're all breeds. They're not ones that are typically discriminated against. They're labs, hounds, Great Dane, Shepherd mixes. So that is in their favor.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I kind of like that.
Speed it up, get them out of there.
Speed them up
Yeah.
by using this, what we support that.
Buy one, get one free, maybe.
So,
Can I do something real quick here?
Absolutely.
So as being on the HATS
Yeah.
board, we would
Mhm.
also like to see something done against this guy. We have our own prosecutor, so I don't know how expensive that would be. Even if it's a misdemeanor or something, this may stop him from doing it a third time. That's our biggest scare too,
yeah.
is this guy just continuing to do it without, even having his hands slapped.
Yeah, unrented property too, that surprises me, but. Whatever.
He's on his buddy's property now.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that this is an opportunity for the people that are watching this, the people in this county, to help out too by adopting the dogs or anything else they can do to help on this. I know other counties have bought land for counties, have bought buildings for counties, people in the county. Like, I think it was where Grayling is, bought land for the switchboard and land for a training place, whatever. Oh, jail, that's it.
or they could donate,
What?
or they could donate to have.
Yeah, donate to have.
Full disclosure, my wife was a donor, so I will disclose that, so.
It's a good time
And
for the,
and I'd say HATS couldn't do it without our donors. That's where 40% of our operational budget comes from. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I do have a question for our finance director. Where would this money come out of? Just contingency, okay.
Definitely is a
Just make sure,
big amount that we would plan for, so it would have to be.
have to come out of there, okay.
Okay. Anything else?
For the minutes, do you want me to
Did
keep
we
that
give you
forwarded?
Do you want a
Correct.
dollar amount?
I know what my suggestion is to leave it as the director asked for this and to leave it. And now if the wish for the other commissioners is to cut into the director's request, then I would say that the discussion should go on right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would like to see the amount, stay as requested.
Just so I'm clear, you threw out 34,000 number earlier, but on the sheet, it's $32,061.86. Is that your correct request? Is the 32 amount?
Yes, I'm guessing one of the days, because the formulas on here are by per day. So we'll go by the date on your spreadsheet from the day that I submitted it, that 32.
Okay, so we'll use $32,061.86 as the proposed dollar amount. If that's agreeable to the board.
Can we make it contingent on like what Bob said, that maybe cut it in half to get them out of there, so we're not paying the daily fees?
We're not paying.
No, and I understand that, but I mean, just to get them out of there to help out the.
The adoption fee. you mean?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that now we're telling
Counter-
Hacks how to run
Sure.
that side of business. I don't know if
we'll
We
just,
want to get into the.
that's just an understanding I think that HATS should have with us as a county, that you get the 32,000, that you're gonna do some reduced adoption fees.
Sure.
To move them out, yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
I think I would, and Hats would consider that the fair request, and we do have an intern coming on board too. We can work on some more advertising for this group of dogs as well.
Okay.
Just don't sell them to the guy we just took them.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Everybody.
So, okay, I think I'm set as far as the motion for next week, which can be consider approving the proposal for reimbursement in the amount of $32,061.86 for the Shea property dog intake as presented.
Okay. Sarah, I just want to thank you for being with us today and answering questions, and thanks for all the work that you do.
Thank you.
Yep. Sounds like we have a majority opinion that we should reimburse Hats for this amount. When it comes up at next week's meeting, there's always room for discussion if somebody has a plan, so,
Okay, absolutely.
okay.
Would you be available to attend next week's meeting just in case additional questions arise?
I will be, yes.
Thank you.
Or you can take calls from any of us between then and now, I'm sure.
Oh,
Correct?
yes, I'm always available. Yeah.
All right, appreciate that. Okay,
Thank you.
thanks again. Any other questions or comments before we move that to next week's meeting? All right, very good. And item 3, Commissioner Weber.
Consider approving MPSCS integration agreement between the state of Michigan and Isabella County, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
Hi.
I think this is the last thing. This has to do with the co-ownership and the payments and the maintenance and I've read it a couple times. I'm not even sure if I make sense of it half the time when I read it, but I did have legal look at it too. So this is a standard form the state uses, MPS for the radio tower project. We Chad Gittes and the dispatch division was able to write a successful 2% grant and got some funding for the next 5 years. So that's not on our radar for 5 years. So we can pay for the maintenance and the tower stuff. So that's good. So didn't require anything other than a motion and approval by the board this time to finish this up. So. Yeah, go ahead. BDAs and Shepherd. You're gonna ask that, aren't you?
You got it.
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that because that came up last week at a School Safety Alliance meeting that I asked, and then I sent some emails off to Procom. And actually I have some things in my car that I'm headed to Procom next, and I'm gonna rattle some cages to find out what's going on. So it's not done, but it's supposed to be on the radar to get done. So I'm not sure if they're planning on waiting now until the end of the school year or what, but I'm gonna find out an answer today.
Thank you.
So it looks like the maintenance from this schedule, we are responsible for the grounds and then the generator, and that's both of the county's responsibility.
Well, and I think if there's any repairs to it, and I know Chad's in the audience, he can probably speak up to it too. If there's any repairs or widgets or gadgets that break, I think they won't give you a real good target. They'll say it's between this number and this number. And then if something else breaks, you gotta pay for that too type thing. So, I don't know if you've gotten anything, Chad, that's a little more detail from them or Ryan.
I think if it's in the actual structure building itself, like routers to the tower and stuff like that, we have to pay the upfront cost of that router. However, we don't pay any service for them to do the work. So that's part of the maintenance agreement. So just the hardware cost is what we would be responsible for, not the our maintenance it takes for that to care of.
Here's money for the tower. We're gonna be co-owners and you're gonna pay for it. So that's kind of how that worked out.
It's been a great project.
It's game changer.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Somebody wants to give me a tractor, I'll gotta only take the maintenance and upkeep of it, so.
It's true, that's true.
Okay, any questions on that? Before we move along, okay, thank you. Sure. And we'll move that to next week's meeting and item for chairman, you want to take that one?
Yes, consider approving the letter of agreement for professional services with Christopher S. Patterson of Folly, Salts, Birch and Roads PLC for services related to a forthcoming battery energy storage system project and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. Mr. Nefor.
Yes, good morning. This is much like the previous two renewable energy projects. They kind of come to us beginning some talks and discussions. They go away and they do a bunch of engineering and such and come back and drop an application to us. There is extensive work from a legal perspective as well as ordinance perspective in the review of these. And so we kind of jump out just ahead of them typically to try to get the contracts lined up. We have worked with Chris Patterson and Bill Fahey, who's one of the principals with the firm on our last two projects. This one is just kind of piggybacking up with it. They've done great work for us. They've had our interest in mind the entire way through the process and continue to. I talk to them pretty much weekly on the solar project, which is still ongoing, and we'll do the same here. The cost for these services comes from an escrow account. We charge an escrow fee, which has already been established by the board for us to charge. We bill that to the applicant at time of application. Once we receive that fee, we utilize that to pay these services. The fee structure itself is set up in a way that if we run out of money, that we can replenish it. We have not had a situation where it's cost the county any money to do the review or the legal review of any of these renewable projects, and it would be the same here.
The applicant would replenish money.
Yeah, they put the money up front. We utilize the money. When we get close to being out, we notify them. And if we run out and they don't respond, project ceases according to the fee structure. In most cases, they've just dumped money, wired money into us, and we have the money to do the work.
And that's worked really well in the other two projects that you mentioned.
It has worked very well. The structure of how we pay has worked very well as the individuals who've done the work for us. It's been superior.
Yes, sir.
And that we're setting up contractual agreements. We must be getting close to some kind of an announcement. I mean, has the owner of this battery already put some money in the fund? Or?
They have not. There's no money in the funds yet. They continuously tell us it's getting close, it's getting close, it's getting close. And then one day they'll show up in the office with a great big check and an application. That's how it typically works. I would expect it probably, we're coming into construction season. I would expect it this spring sometime yet.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, we'll move that item to next week's meeting. And item 5 is consider approving the professional service agreement with Spicer Group for services related to an application for special land use and site plan review for a forthcoming battery energy storage system project, and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same.
So same situation. This is just the engineer side of it. This is a Spicer Group. We use them on both of the previous two, as well as the project that we consulted that we consult out of our office with Coke Township on. So we use them several times. Again, it's escrow dollars that come in at the beginning of the project. I believe in their application, they've already estimated roughly what their costs are going to look like. That we would need for escrow around 27,000, I think it was, if I remember correctly. But we'll calculate that at time of application. And all fees are paid for through the escrow dollars. And this is for the review and assistance through the special land use and the site plan review process of the ordinance. Typically, those are things we do, but these projects are so big in magnitude that we have to hire them up because we've got everything else going as well. So it's nice that we're able to do it and the applicant is covering those costs.
Questions? All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move that item to next week's meeting. And item 6, Commissioner Campbell, would you take that?
Consider approving the amended bylaws to the Human Rights Committee as presented.
And we have the amended bylaws. We have committee chair Donna Giuliani with us. If we have any questions? I didn't have any burning questions on this. It all makes sense to me. Commissioner Johnson.
It looks like this addresses what they wanted to do originally, and I brought up the concerns that there's no means in here to amend these bylaws. Usually on bylaws, you have, as one of the last couple of sections, you'll have how these bylaws get amended. That's not in here. It doesn't really show where there's any connection with the County Board of Commissioners. I don't know. I'm not ready to say that this is a done document. I think it needs to go back and maybe provide some samples of other bylaws that for committees that the county has, and that the Human Rights Commission look at that. But it's still, to me, an incomplete document.
Any thoughts on that? Yeah.
I just think we went through this and through this and through this and want to make them do somersaults and jump up and down. I think it's not necessary.
Well,
Go ahead.
Without amending the bylaws, don't even bring it to us. There's nothing in here that says these bylaws are amended by a majority of the committee and the county board. I mean.
I just want to say something else. Since the very beginning of this organization, it was much broader. In fact, there was a diversity coordinator, paid position, and there was a much stronger Human Rights Commission. The reason why we don't have that anymore was because an administrator at the time didn't like it and killed it. This is a lot different, and it's a very important function of government, in my opinion. And it shouldn't be held up by nitpicking and micromanaging, in my opinion.
Okay. I don't think holding these up is really gonna damage the committee's work. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I don't think that's gonna really put any work that the committee does on hold. I have to agree with Commissioner Galzinski that there should be some outline of how you go about amending the bylaws.
So what, excuse me, what perhaps I can do is share, like on the opioid committee and stuff, there's a provision in there to amend. So I could maybe share with Donna the language that was used in that those bylaws to clarify the process.
Another one too is, if we're paying a meeting per diem, that probably should be something that's in here to make it legal.
Should the amount, you know.
I don't think that this is a legal document.
Right.
For one. So putting legality on this document, it's a guideline for the board that the board uses, right? Robert's Rules of Orders is a written guideline to follow. It's not law. So, and the fact, if you want to keep on picking at things, that's fine. My suggestion to you is to write everything that you want in this document and present it, and not keep bringing back an additional thing, okay? Because we can string this out for a long time, but I think we owe it to them to write it. If you have issues, write down the definitive points. We'll get them to address it, and we'll make this whole. I said that too many times today.
Fair enough, and it's not nitpicking. you have structure. And if you take a look at every other committee or commission, they have structure. This one does not provide that structure.
I've seen a lot of different bylaws that have, that, get as detailed or obtuse as they want and proceed. And that's, what my point is that we need to provide them with specific detail points that you would like them to address. Give it to them. When they meet those requirements, let's move on.
Fair enough. As a former parliamentary procedure person, I can do that. And we'll make this so it's a document that does hold strength of organization and law.
Yeah, and as long as this board's approving it, we should have, I agree with Vice President Hope, is we should have something in there that how you change the bylaws procedure, so.
May I speak, please?
Yes,
Go ahead.
So I have heard concerns about per diem not being in there and there not being a reference to the Board of Commissioners as our approving body. And if you go to the bottom of the document, the bottom of page 5, we see both the per diem in here, and we also see reference to the Board of Commissioners in bullet 2 as well as bullet 4. And then we also see on the very bottom that this bylaws has been revised and approved repeatedly in our more than 20-year history.
The bottom of that document shows that it's been revised by the Human Rights Commission. Makes no reference to the county board ever adopting it. And so if that's what you're comfortable with, that's fine, but then we should not be participating as a government entity. I will prepare something instead of dragging it out. Thank you.
Does that work for you, Donna? If Commissioner Jalzinski prepares something, we make sure that that includes everything that the board wants to see. And we do this one more time and get it approved for you.
I'm happy to do this one more time.
Thank you.
Just so I'm clear, is there an expectation that this will be on the regular meeting next week, or is this gonna go to the next finance committee? Just so I want to make sure on when this is gonna appear next.
I think the next finance committee, because I'm leaving town for a couple of days after the meeting.
Okay, so the next finance committee, I believe, is the 31st of March. Because there's 5 Tuesdays in this month, so we'll schedule this for the last finance committee of March.
Okay, that sounds good. Any other comments, questions? Donna, anything else you want to add?
No, I appreciate the opportunity to work with the board.
Okay, we appreciate the work that you're doing and we appreciate this committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will not move that item to next week's meeting. And the next item. Lost, there it is. Number 7, Commissioner Marino, would you take that?
Sure. Consider approving the standard medical examiner investigator contract pending and executed medical examiner services amendment between Isabella County and U of M Sparrow Health Services, and acknowledge that the administrative controller will execute their agreements with the individual medical examiner investigators per county signature policy number 417.
Good morning.
Gentlemen.
Morning.
So as a part of the contract the county has with U of M Sparrow Health, it's for medical examiner services, and a part of that is medical examiner investigators. They're the ones that go to the scene, they're on call, and they do all the work on scene to get certain things done where they're at. And so there was discussion back in December about getting the contract with U of M Sparrow. And it was brought up at the board meeting that if the county so choose to bring the MEIs or the medical examiner investigators under control of the county, would U of M Sparrow be open to that? And Mr. Baker said yes. We've shared this document with our legal various times. We had a discussion with Mr. Baker regarding this to make sure that he was good with the contract, that he was good with the attachments, the services, and that we are not violating anything with our agreement with U of M Sparrow Health. So technically, MEIs would still have to be technically appointed by the medical examiner, but then the contract would be signed with Isabella County. So this just gives Isabella County greater local control over the MEIs in the county. So Ryan Martin and Chad Geddes have worked very hard and spent a lot of hours on getting this done to everybody's satisfaction. And so we're presenting this draft contract for the board. If the board were to approve the motion as is next week, then I would go out and contact Mr. Baker to discuss. There'd have to be an amendment on the U of M Sparrow Health contract for those services, since the MEI services are baked into that. So we would have to have a revise. So that's why I worded it such that this would not take effect until the board approves the actual modified or amended contract with the U of M Sparrow Health.
Yes, sir.
So I know you don't know the bottom line right now, but is it, do you envision that we're going to have a considerable savings by bringing the MEIs directly under the county?
I wouldn't say we're gonna have a considerable savings. We're probably gonna see a reduction in the contract costs with U of M Sparrow Health. That dollar amount is to be negotiated still with Mr. Baker. There actually might be, in all honesty, a little bit more in cost, but those extra costs is going to greatly enhance the services in the field, so we don't have law enforcement at a scene for an hour or 2.5 hours at a, like, so it just gives us greater control on getting MEIs out to the scenes quicker and with a little bit more accountability to the county. But when we're talking a dollar amount, we're talking, it's not gonna be a huge amount. So I put in right here that right now, the current year cost, I'm estimating 22,500 for contractual expenses, 5,000 for supplies, but that doesn't include the potential lowered cost of the actual contract with U of M Sparrow, which would be hopefully coming this next cycle of meetings. And I got Chad and Ryan, who these guys have been knee deep in this, so they may be able to answer a lot of the questions in a little bit more detail.
Oh, well, they're not gonna ask anything. I'll go ahead and speak then. Brian, you always talk up, come on. No, but what this does is it really enhances our service. As far as speed, efficiency, it keeps their talent local here, so. They have space that they can use and they have some equipment that can be used. So it just really makes sense to have somebody, instead of having some have to come out of Lansing or wherever they're coming from, or wherever they are, you know, they're using the MEs, but it just really, for the little bit of extra cost, it's really gonna increase the service that they provide, so.
And it only makes sense to keep it under our department because we actually dispatch them out. We
Yeah.
notify them through active 911. They call us and tell us that they're responding. So it just makes sense to put it underneath our department. That way we can manage it because we deal with it.
Response times.
You do all that
better.
now.
You do all that now, but now you, yeah, the back and
Well,
forth.
Really, the biggest thing is the response time, because typically when someone's coming out of Sparrow, out of Lansing, it's 90 to 120 minutes. So you gotta think when, and I've been on the many scenes with Sheriff Maine. I'm on Fremont Rescue as well, to where you're sitting there with a family, with a deceased member, waiting for 2 hours for a medical examiner to show up. So we want to bring that more local, get our local MEs involved. They're drive time from wherever they're at to the scene.
MEI.
Medical examiner investigation.
Yes, I want
Yes.
to, I want to make sure.
We're still the MEI.
Everybody's not,
Yeah.
I mean, it's me eyes.
The MEs are still gonna be.
Thank you. We're still, yes.
Yes, sir.
So the MEIs, do we have some that are local that aren't already being utilized under the current contract?
We actually have quite a few that are not being utilized currently, that when we migrate to, hopefully if we could migrate to the county, we have some very qualified individuals that are looking at becoming a medical examiner investigator. Currently, we have 3 that are responding in the county, and they're trying to cover as much as they can. But with, we've got a list of about 5 or 6 very qualified individuals with already that medical background. Some are work for an ambulance service. Some are in the health professions, and they're very interested in the position. The contract with the county.
Those 3 that we have also work for other counties, correct? So that.
2 of them.
2 of them do.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I guess if you can draw me a clearer picture of how this simplifies the whole process.
Really, it's just keeping everybody local. So we know and have worked with the 3 medical examiner investigators that we have. They know the county. One of them is on a rescue department as well right now in the county. When law enforcement shows up on a scene, they know the individual. They've built that rapport with the individual. When someone's coming out of Lansing, it's a different individual. I don't want to say every time, but close to it. And there's just a lot of unknowns. Being able to keep everything local, keep the reports local, keep our medical examiners here in the county, responding from the county to the scene, examiners, investigators.
Thank you.
And you gotta, it's such a stressful situation at the time that you really. It's just a better system if we go this way. I mean, as far as financially, it's gonna be. Maybe a little bit more, but the quality is going to be so much better. I mean, anybody that's been through that before, it's. Yeah.
And one thing I would, I'm sorry, oh. go ahead.
I was gonna just say, the investigator, when they're on the scene, they will determine whether or not there needs to be an autopsy. Otherwise, they can release the deceased to a funeral home.
Correct. That's my understanding. Yep.
So we really follow pretty much all the standards, if not all the standards that U of M Sparrow Health have. And we put it into this right here. So Mr. Baker looked that over to make sure that we were in compliance with U of M Sparrow Health standards on this. So that's why we're very careful. You'll see that there's 3 attachments with the contract, and I have what I'm having the board tentatively would be the actual contract itself. The attachments are kind of a floating document because we may have different supplies that may be needed that we have located in one of them. So that may change on a little bit. So it's mostly your contract that you'd be approving with the attachments are referred to in the contract, but those would be adjusted as needed based on demands or like supplies or something like that.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Just a comment. The amount of time that Ryan and Chad put in on this is ridiculous, but we do appreciate it. So yeah, they put a ton of hours in on this, so.
Not a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We'll move that item to next week's meeting. And item 8 is review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Commission on Aging, requesting $572,000 and $572,554.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I do not have any MEIs in mind. No, this is just our annual request to the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe. They've been so generous to the Commission on Aging. Since 1995, we've received over $10.7 million in 2% grant awards from them, which is incredible. And we're so thankful for that. It does We do rely on it heavily. It is a big portion of our budget. It's our second largest revenue stream we have. And it equates to about 20% of our direct service budgets that we have here. So with our request, per a request from the tribe years ago, before I came on board, they had asked that the Commission on Aging, we submit the same request in the spring and the fall for each year. And then once those amounts are combined at the end of the year, if we're fortunate enough to receive anything, we have those funds within that fiscal year. So this will be our 2026 application. We'll submit this exact same one in the fall again. And then hopefully we're fortunate enough to receive some other generosity again. But this is just it's a joint effort from all of our program managers that represents all of the programs here. And any funds that we do receive, it does not go into our admin budget here. It goes directly to those programs.
Okay. Questions? All right, very thankful for this whole process and for the tribe's generosity.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Item 9, I think Commissioner Jelzinski, you want to take that one?
Review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Sheriff's Office requesting $30,000 for religious jail services.
So we've been working since we moved into the new facility, actually before that, with a group that provides religious services throughout 30 to 35 jails in the state of Michigan, the Forgotten Man Ministry type thing. They're more than just a religious service group. They'll take kites from the inmates, they meet with them, they do services. We did a big open house for a lot of the clergy a while back, and we had some interest. They've actually got one person who would provide about 30 hours a week to do some of these type things. But really what the importance of this is, we had a lawsuit, in regards to religious stuff here a few years ago. We were able to work through it. And one of the things, the resolution was that we would be able to provide more services. Previously, we had the Gideons. They did a great job for us, but they was pretty isolated to what they could provide. So there are multiple religions in the world.
Yeah.
This group can go out and find those. The one that we had the lawsuit on that was finally settled, in our behalf was basically we couldn't find, we provided all we could. We couldn't provide someone to come in to provide the service that this person wanted. They just didn't exist in our community. So this group can do that. They've got a bigger range, a lot more to be able to do that. So there is funding requirements. There's no line item that the county has for religious services, but it's something that we do have to require. Where we will see some negative come from that if we don't provide religious services. So they have secured a little bit of money for us. They've secured a person that will do this for us. We are lined up, ready to go. We're putting everything in place. We're just looking for a little more funding to help offset the cost of that. And then moving forward, we're going to have to look at some fundraisers or something, policeman's ball or something to do to raise a little money to keep this going. But this was originated in Genesee County, and then it's branched out to multiple county jails, and they do a really good job. So they're pretty phenomenal people. A lot of their providers are former inmates who have found God and found their path, and they come back and they tell their story, and I've heard a couple of stories that's pretty impressive. So.
Yes, sir.
I think this is great, Sheriff, especially about the peer kind of relationship and all that. And I think it would be money well spent and be a good service to the folks in there, and be a change from the regular routine probably.
We're excited to get them going. We're excited to get it going.
Yes, sir.
So I know our parish has a ministry for jail. Would they need to work through this group, or would they come in independent?
So they can, yeah, they would work through this group. So this group would kind of be the ones that oversee it. And again, they're gonna, a kite is a inmate communication piece, to correction staff or whoever. So they're actually gonna take, if one says, I would like so-and-so or somebody else, or whatever, they're the ones that are gonna be able to hear that and do that. But yeah, you would work through that group. The person that we have coming in there would be the point of contact for that. And really for us, it takes a lot off our plate, right? The correction staff can worry about corrections duties versus, answering inmate questions about religion and things like that. So there will be a point of contact from this group, yes. And we invited, there was probably, we provided lunch to them and there was probably 30 or 35 clergy from all walks of religion. So we had a pretty good round table of different disciplines and stuff. So they may have been there.
Anything that helps these folks get on a path to not reoffending.
I had somebody stop and they had a service they could provide and I actually walked into the jail and, we were talking about our, between our medical stuff and our community mental health and the group sessions and the NA and the AA and the religious services coming in the school and they were dumbfounded the amount of programs and things that we have going in this new facility. And I think that's a hidden gem that maybe, at some point when we get where we can breathe, we can present that to the community and let them know that it's just not a lockup. Right? We're doing a lot of things in there and they're doing parenting classes in there now. Like we've got a ton of stuff going on in that jail right now. So all good things, hopefully.
All good stories to put out there too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we're good. We'll move that one to next week's meeting. And item 10, Commissioner Sweeney, you want to take that one?
Review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from Isabella County Sheriff's Office requesting $36,900 for true narc drug identification.
So there's a few agencies that have this piece of equipment. It's an expensive piece of equipment, but it really is a good piece of equipment. So what happens a lot of times is in the jail, when they come in, they'll find something on, a baggie of something, unsure what it is. So then we have to reach out to another agency and it might take a couple hours to get maybe them to bring their device over to test this stuff. And what happens then is the arresting agencies have left and now we're stuck with this. Correction staff is stuck with this product. It may test positive for a narcotic. Now they have to process it or at least keep it until we can get law enforcement interaction to it. Not to mention that it could be dangerous stuff, if they're touching it and messing with it. And really, if we have that at the facility, we can use it for both roadside and at the jail. But if we test it right then and there and we come back and it's an illegal narcotic, at that point, we give it back over to the arresting agency who already has charges and say, this is yours, just add charges to it and we're done. We're out of it. So we find it often that something will come in and sometimes it's not a drug and you test it and okay, it's not something illegal. It's not contraband coming in. So we wanted one for a while and it's a point where, we have enough of these that come in where we want to test the substance or whatever. And these are pretty amazing machines and the drug units use them and a couple of agencies I said have them as well. So it would just be a good asset to have at the jail to be able to identify this drug. Or these drugs.
If this piece of equipment, it's something small enough, you could actually be mobile with that. Take
about the size of that speaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pretty interesting piece of equipment. So, and it's instant. You pretty much zap it and it just tells you what it is. So pretty cool stuff.
Is there any training required for?
Yeah, there'll be some, but it's real low level. I wouldn't guess more than an hour. So it's pretty easy. It's on off test, then it just tells you what it is. So it's not like a ton. There might be some calibration stuff we got to do yearly on it, but.
So if someone got pulled over, the officers could call and say, hey, can you bring that thing out? I've got something here and I don't know what it is.
That happens often with other agencies that have them. Somebody will grab the unit and they'll take it out there and test it real quick to see if it's oregano or God knows what.
Right.
So, who knows? So,
Good. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Sheriff.
Yeah,
We'll move that to next week's meeting. And item 11, Commissioner Weber, do you want to put that for us?
Yep, review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from Isabella County Parks and Recreation requesting $40,000 for the Hurt Campground Gatehouse Improvement Project.
Morning.
Morning.
So at Park Recreation area, we have two gatehouses. On the north side day use area, our gatehouse is in really good shape. On the south side for our campground, the gatehouse that is there, which that's the term for our little office shack that's there at the entrance of the park. That structure was built in 1977.
Wow.
It has no bathroom, no running water. We are every season using sandbags because there is so much water damage to the outside walls that the structure is flooding. So we're using sandbags to keep water out of the building.
I think it was 2 summers ago, there was issues where, because of mice nests in the structure, we were having electrical issues, and so we're having to have an electrician come in. It smells, if anyone's ever experienced and been close to a mouse nest and that awful odor, that's what it smells like inside this structure. And then it has no bathroom. So we have summer staff out there and we're renting a pavilion and, or excuse me, a porta potty and setting it next to that structure for our staff to use. So the building, it needs to be replaced. There's just no way around it. It's to the point now where I don't even really feel comfortable having staff in there, let alone public. But there's other factors to consider when it comes to replacing this building. So if you've ever been out to Herrick, you've seen that when you pull into the campground, this gatehouse is actually situated so that if you're driving in, the gatehouse is on the passenger side of a vehicle coming into the park. So if you're pulling in there by yourself or, you know, the driver is the person who's in charge of the family's reservation, now you have someone who has to get out of the vehicle and walk across the driveway to go over and interact with the gate attendant, or our staff has to walk across the driveway to interact, and it's just not a good traffic flow. The other thing is the structure is so close to the road. We did some research on measurements. So if you have a 3/4 ton pickup that's got a full crew cab with full size 4 doors, and now we have campers who are coming in with up to a 40-foot camper. So that could be a 62-foot rig. When they're turning in, there's actually not enough room for them to turn to where their camper is actually blocking the exit lane of the driveway. So not only do we need to replace the structure, we really need to reconfigure the entire entrance to this park. When it was built in 1977, I'm sure it worked great, but it's just not working with the modern campers and needs to be addressed. So what we have proposed, and so this project is in our master plan, specifically called out in our master plan for an improvement that needs to happen at Herrick Recreation Area. And it's also in line with our goals and objectives in our master plan for improving our infrastructure. And what we need to do really is a site assessment of the entrance to this campground. And then from the results of that site assessment, come up with a design for the structure, including new placement. And what we would love to do, if it's feasible, is move the structure back from the road and create a 2-way traffic flow around the gatehouse, similar to what we currently have on the north side at Herrick and at Coldwater Lake Family Park. So not only would we like to replace the structure, but we need to move it and then hopefully connect it to utilities, including a well and a small drain field, so that we can have a restroom in there for our staff. If not, there are higher end vault toilet structures that we can use so that we have a permanent bathroom option for them versus just bringing out a porta potty every summer. So that's actually led us to split this whole entire project into 2 phases. There's a lot of assessment that needs to be done and site planning that needs to be done to make this project successful. So what our application here is actually for phase 1 of the project, which would include site assessment, architecture, and engineering plans for the reconfiguration of the entrance and the building itself. You all know because you're going through it too, but we've done projects recently where our Herrick project, for example, we wrote the grant 4 years ago. By the time we have construction workers, boots on the ground, the costs have skyrocketed. So what we want to avoid is putting together funding for a project and then finding out that we haven't accounted for enough. So our hope is that by doing architecture and engineering services up front, not only do we have a really concrete site plan and building plan, but we also have really accurate cost estimates before we start seeking funds for this or budgeting this into our capital funds. So what we're requesting from the tribe, they have supported us in so many improvements at this park, and we're really close to the finish line of Herrick being in an entirely new era of infrastructure and just having an incredible atmosphere out there. This would be the last of kind of large scale projects, and then that park is going to be in an era where we can just do maintenance and things are modernized and updated for a while. So we're hoping that the tribe will again support us in making a massive improvement project that's going to make the interaction for the public better and make it safer and more effective for our employees as well. Any questions?
Would you make it more of a bigger building than you're thinking, kind of like Coldwater than just a
Yeah.
hut?
Good question. So we wouldn't go as large scale as Coldwater because there's just not that traffic level. But we would definitely do, I mean, right now, if you're familiar with like a hunting blind, like a deer shack.
That's what it looks like.
That's
yeah.
what it's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it looks like. So it would be a larger footprint, not as large as Coldwater,
Yeah.
but certainly larger than what it
Wouldn't
is
have
right now.
bathrooms in it.
Yeah, one bathroom for the staff, just a small, basic, a toilet and a sink. And then they can also, because right now, if they're even going to do any cleaning inside, they have to schlep over to the bathroom, fill up buckets and bring it back. It's not functional for having staff in there. And then, like I said, you've got members of the public coming in to get information and do their check-in forms. And it's a very, very bad first impression for our entire parks system. Any other questions?
Sounds like a great project. Actually, that's a nice park. I utilize it quite a bit in summer.
It is a nice park and especially with the improvements that we've been fortunate enough to make in recent years, it's turning into a real gem. So I'd like to keep that momentum going.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move that to next week's meeting. Thank you, Alexis. And item 12, Chairman, you want to take that one?
For review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Drain Commission, requesting $147,500 for Wayman Mill Pond Dam repair and lake level order update. We have our drain commissioner here.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Weeks ago, I'm guessing, my engineer, Spicer engineer there, the one that actually did the dam inspection, started this whole process. And we met out with property owner, went over some things. And the dam, the dam always gets a satisfactory, which is actually there's nothing wrong with the dam. That berm that goes from on the west side of the lake and goes around and back over to the lots on Johnson. That has got a couple of leaks and they're not critical. They're not very high, if they were to blow completely out, it would only lower the lake like they are it is leaking and it's overgrown and it's going to be quite a process to fix all that. That's what our next request is for.
A lot of that is privately owned, right? On that
Yes.
East side.
Yeah, the township owns the piece. There's an actual spillway in that piece that the township owns, but a couple of property owners own around to where the work needs to be done is private property.
Yeah.
That's how we got, got to deal with that.
On where the private property owners, we have a lease or a easement for that.
That's not yet. We've got to work that into it too. As of right now, what the far property owner, we're still trying to contact whoever's in charge of the property. And then the other one is the builder there. There's his name right offhand.
Right on the corner.
Yeah, what's his name? Battle.
Yeah. Yep.
He's more than willing to work with it. He's very cooperative to work with so far.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
We'll move this to next week's meeting. And that takes us to item 13, review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Material Recovery Facility requesting $29,088.10 for new skid steer loader with attached grapple bucket. Morning.
Good morning. So this is something that we ask for each year to trade the skid steer in. It's such a vital part of our processing materials and our operations at the facility. Trading it in gives us the ability to save on repair and maintenance costs moving forward. It keeps us within that 1,500 hour threshold. So it gives us the best trade value for that unit. So yeah, it'll keep the unit under warranty if we trade it in year over year. And we've been pretty successful in doing this. I know over the years, we've tried multiple different things to be able to keep those repair and maintenance costs as low as we can. And we found that this was the best option moving forward, was trading it in each year. So
That piece of equipment gets a lot of usage.
a lot of use, yes. Yeah.
But it's always kind of a spot there where the amount of hours you put on them goes over those hours and the resale value really drops off, so. So we looked at leasing, we looked at buying, and there's always just that little area, especially something that's run every day with that many hours on them, so.
Yeah, if we go past that year, then we definitely end up over that 1,500 hour mark and the trade value drops significantly.
Yeah, we used to trade ours off about every 2 years because we put 6 hours on them a day or sometimes, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
We'll move that to next week's meeting, and item 14, Commissioner Campbell, you want to take that for us?
Yes.
Please?
Review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from Isabella County Conservation District requesting $28,400 for the tire recycling collection program.
And I will take this one just because I am on the conservation board and I talked to Crystal, she said I could handle it, but this is something we do every year, so it's nothing new. I said it's surprisingly, the truck always fills up before noon and you think get out of it, but it never happens, so.
Did
Anyway.
something happen last year where you didn't show up?
Yeah. Avoid that.
Yeah,
So
we sent a guy with a truck load and he came back. We weren't too happy about it.
We weren't very happy.
Not
doing
bad,
these,
yeah,
so-
Unhappy.
Actually, talked to him Thursday and it was on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And everything was set, and Saturday the truck wasn't there. Of course, nobody answers their phone on a Saturday. so
Right.
We did offer to pay for it. If you took it over, we'd pay for if you went over and dropped them off yourself, which was better than nothing, but we'll double and triple check this year. to make Sure the guy gets the date right, but it was just one of those things. We've done it for years. Never had a problem, but this one was, so. So anyways.
It's a nice service to the community.
Yeah.
Keep those tires from being tossed out in the woods or whatever.
Ditches on the back roads and
Yeah.
gravel roads, I mean, we're always picking them up, guys throw them in there, so.
Okay, we'll move that to the next meeting. Item 15, Commissioner Marino, you want to take that?
Sure. Review and assess the semi-annual 2% application from the Isabella County Conservation District requesting $57,600 for electronic waste recycling program.
Same thing there. This time we usually run them together. We are gonna do a hazardous waste, but if we get this one, we'll probably try to run them together, so. We couldn't afford to do both of them at the same time because the cost went up so much on the hazardous waste, so. So we'll probably just do one or the other until we get our finances in there. We're still looking for extra money so we could do 2 of them, so. Just like everything else, cost of, especially the hazardous waste pickup is really got expensive. So it's gotta be regulated.
Popular event, so,
It is, we have lines.
yep.
I'll be there.
Me too.
Any other?
Well, it's funny because before, when we first started, we got these big box TVs and everything, but now that we're getting all the flat screens because the prices went down and there's no fixing to them, so.
Right.
So majority of them are the flat screens now, which we never saw before. We don't get very many fax machines anymore, so that's a good thing. That's kind of what sells, though.
Those big heavy TVs.
Yeah.
Yep. Blasters. Okay, any other questions? Very good. We'll move that to next week's meeting. And our final item, number 16, Commissioner Jelzinski, you want to take that for us?
Certainly. Review and assess the semi-annual 2% intent letter from the Humane Animal Treatment Society requesting an amount of $30,000. So I looked at this and so struck a chord. This is for $30,000 that would be used for stray cats, feral cats to trap, neuter, and return. And, I've been somewhat critical of HATS for not taking your feral cats because there is a problem in the county, but this would propose to have $30,000. I don't know if the director is still on, but I would ask some questions.
She is.
Just a couple of questions. I know I've brought feral cats and had rejection on them, but the person that now brings the feral cat, you would accept it and then put him through this program and then return him to that same individual for release, or how would that work?
Yeah, so last year we were able to provide 113 free TNR surgeries. This is through funded programs from donors. So this isn't a program covered by our county contract. So we're looking to replenish that so we can continue the free TNRs. We typically do up to 4 per property per county address, but then we also do a community. Oh my goodness, there's a community monitoring where we have a couple people that monitor colonies of feral cats, over 20 in one area. And as they see new cats that are not ear tipped, they would call us, we would book them in the clinic. So right now our funds for the TNR our donor funds are pretty depleted. We're running some campaigns, but this would be half of the request, the 15,000 would go directly so that we can continue this and offer more of those to Isabella County residents. So yes, they would trap it. We would schedule the animal in our clinic once it's trapped, and we would provide the spay and neuter, the ear tip, get them back out. Typically, if they're feral, we don't intake them as adoptable, so they would go back out to the community. But then we keep an eye on those that are ear tipped, so we can try and reduce that population eventually.
So where do they get released? Do they go
Back to where they came from. Typically, they go right back to where they came from, but they go back to where they are spayed and neutered, so they can't have any more litters. So that's the big one, because one cat can have upwards of 100 kittens a year if they're not spayed and neutered. So if they don't have that ear tip and they're a feral cat, we'd like to get them in. Our funds right now are restricting how many appointments we can schedule for this currently.
Sounds like a grant request that I'd be in favor of.
Yes, there are a ton of feral cats in Isabella County.
Can I honestly say that we have not had a litter in 7-8 months, so usually we'll get some extra. Yeah, but it's, yeah, I'm all in favor.
Brings that come.
You ever come out to our place, you get mobbed by the cats, so.
That's true.
Yeah, I know.
The other part of the request to total up to the 30,000 is for additional spay and neuter services. We're just seeing less and less dogs either seized in the county or strays from Isabella County that are spayed. So our spay and neuter services, along with medical cost increasing for the supplies. What the clinic fees for spay and neutering did go up in January. So a portion of this is 10,000. That would help us fund another 115 spay and neuter surgeries. Our goal with that is that every animal leaves HAT spay and neutered, so that we are reducing the population of both the cats and the dogs in Isabella County. We took in 720 Isabella County strays and surrenders last year, and 87% of them needed to be spayed and neutered. And then the last little chunk of the 30,000 is 5,000 for our special needs fund, which is our Colton fund. This establishes, special care if a dog comes in that needs an amputation or heartworm treatment. We've seen more recently. That's a 6-month treatment course. The injections are quite expensive. So this special fund covers special needs and things outside of the typical scope that HATS would provide, x-rays, blood work, those kinds of things.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Sarah, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
And we will move that to next week's meeting, and that concludes the business portion items. Brings us down to general public comments. Anyone for general public comments? Okay, the online, seeing no one for general public comment announcements. Yes, sir.
Just like to report to the commissioners that I attended, the MAC Human Services, Health and Human Services Committee in Lansing last Friday, and I'm happy to say that it's recorded because there was a Zoom portion, and so I will email the commissioners that link so you can check it out. There's especially the legislative part is really interesting, and also the topic was health services and health departments in the state. So it was quite an interesting meeting.
Thank
you.
And I don't have to remember it.
Yeah, a couple quick announcements with the Conservation District. The tree sale, the annual tree sale is going on right now, so the order blank is on Facebook, the Isabella Conservation Facebook page, and also the website isabella-conservation-district.org. And I do have some 26 pickup dates for the hazardous waste. And I mentioned earlier that we're just doing that one only because did 2% for electronic waste, could do that one. So for the hazardous waste only is June 20th and September 26th. And for the tire pickup for 2026 is June 13th and October 3rd. So now those should be on the website, and I'll repeat them several times as they're coming up. So
Well, at the fairground.
yes, everything will be at the fairgrounds. The tires are until the truck gets full, up till noon, and the hazardous waste they usually, that'll be pretty much throughout the day or to noon, so usually from 8 to noon. So.
Okay. Thank you. Any other announcements? Anything else? Okay, then we will adjourn at 11:36.